Throughout history, across various cultures and civilizations, people have sought ways to protect their homes and loved ones from malevolent forces. Among the countless ritual and practices that have emerged, one peculiar yet intriguing method stands out: the placement of cut onions by doorways on specific dates to ward off spirits. This centuries-old practice, while seemingly simple, carries deep cultural significance and has been passed down through generations. The use of onions as spiritual protection dates back to ancient Egypt, where these pungent bulbs were not only a dietary staple, but also held powerful symbolic meaning. The ancient Egyptians believed that onion, with their concentric layers, represented eternity and the multiple levels of the universe. They would place cut onions in various rooms of their homes, particularly by entrance during the sacred month of Date, when they believed the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds was at its thinnest. This practice gradually spread across the Mediterranean, finding its way into Greek and Roman tradition. The Romans, in particular, would perform the ritual during the Date festival of Lemuria, when they believed rest spirits of the dead would return to haunt the living. They would strategically place freshly cut onions by their doors and windows, believing that the strong aroma would fuse and repel any wandering spirit attempting to enter their home. While the spiritual aspects practice might seem purely supernatural, there is fascinating scientific reasoning behind why onions might have been chosen as purpose. When cut, onions release organic sulfur compounds, specifically synpropanethyl S oxide, which not only creates their characteristic sharp smell, but also has natural antimicrobial properties. In ancient times, before the understanding of germs and disease transmission, people might have noted that homes with cut onions placed near entry experienced fewer instances of illness. The powerful aroma of cut onion can indeed affect the respiratory and cause tears in humans. Our ancestors might have reasoned that if onions could have such a strong effect on the living, they must surely be potent against supernatural entities. The fact that onions can purify air by absorbing certain bacteria and viruses might have contributed to the belief in their protective property against invisible forces. The proper preparation of onions for this protective ritual is crucial to its perceived effectiveness. Tradition dictates that the onions must be carefully selected and prepared according to specific guidelines. The most commonly recommended variety are white or red onion, though some practitioners insist on using only organic onion grown in soil that has never been treated with chemical fertilizer. The optimal time to begin the preparation is during the waning moon phase, preferably 3 days before Date. The onions should be cleaned thoroughly, but not washed with water, as this is believed to diminish their spiritual potency. Instead, they should be gently brushed clean and kept in a dark place until the day of the ritual. The actual cutting of the onions is not merely a mundane task, but a ceremonial act that requires attention and intention. According to traditional practices, the cutting should begin precisely at sunset on Date, when the boundary between day and night blurs. The person performing the ritual should face east, the direction associated with new beginnings and spiritual awakening. Each onion should be cut into exactly 7 pieces, as 7 is considered a powerful number in many spiritual traditions. The cuts must be made with a silver knife if possible, as silver is believed to enhance the protective properties of the onion. While cutting, practitioners are encouraged to visualize a protective white light emanating from the onions, strengthening their spiritual barrier against negative energy. The strategic placement of the cut onion is perhaps the most crucial aspect of this protective ritual. The primary location are the main entrance of the home and any other doorways that lead to the outside world. Some traditions also recommend placing onions near windows, particularly those facing north, as this direction is sometimes associated with darker energy in certain beliefs. The cut piece should be arranged in a specific pattern, typically in the shape of a crescent moon or a 5-pointed star, depending on regional variation of the practice. The onions must be placed on small plates or bowls made of natural material. Ceramic, wood, or clay are preferred, while plastic or metal containers are generally discouraged, as they might interfere with the onion's protective energy. While the placement of cut onions is the central component of this protective practice, many traditions incorporate additional elements to enhance effectiveness. Some practitioners recommend sprinkling a circle of salt around each onion place, as salt is universally recognized for its protective and purifying properties. Others suggest adding specific herbs known for their protective quality, such as sage, rosemary, or bay leaf, arranging them around the cut onions in a complementary pattern. The timing of this ritual is not arbitrary but carefully calculated according to traditional beliefs. The onions should remain in place for exactly 3 days and 3 nights, beginning from sunset on date. During this period, it's important not to disturb or move the onion, as this could disrupt the protective barrier they're believed to create. After the prescribed period, the onions must be properly disposed of according to specific guidelines. They should never be thrown in the regular trash or used for cooking, as they are believed to have absorbed negative energy. Instead, they should be buried in the earth at a location far from one's home, preferably at a crossroads or near running water, while expressing gratitude for their protective service. Practitioners of this ritual often report various signs that indicate the onions are successfully repelling negative energies. One common indication is the darkening or discoloration of the cut onion, which is interpreted as evidence that they have absorbed harmful forces. Some people report experiencing unusually vivid dreams during the 3-day period, which is seen as a sign that the spiritual barriers of the home have been strengthened. Other reported phenomena include a feeling of lightness or peace within the home, improved sleep quality among residents, and a noticeable reduction in unexplained noises or disturbance. Some practitioners even claim to observe a subtle glow around the onions when viewed in low light conditions, though this might be attributed to the natural phosphorescence that some varieties of onions exhibit. As with many ancient practices, the onion protection ritual has evolved differently across various cultures and geographical regions. In some Mediterranean countries, people add a splash of vinegar to the cut onion, believing this enhances their protective property. In certain Eastern European traditions, the onions are braided with red thread before being cut, as red is considered a powerful color against evil influences. Some Native American tribes incorporated similar practices using wild onions or related plants, often combining them with local herbs and performing the ritual during significant celestial events. In parts of Asia, the ritual might be performed during the ghost month or other spiritually significant dates, with specific modifications to align with local beliefs and customs. In contemporary time, this ancient practice has been adapted to suit modern lifestyle while maintaining its essential elements. Some practitioners now use organic onions exclusively, believing they carry stronger protective energy due to their natural cultivation. Others have incorporated new elements, such as crystal grids around the onion placement or the use of essential oils to enhance the protective properties. Some modern spiritual practitioners combine the onion ritual with other protective practices such as smudging with sage, energy clearing with sound bowls, or the use of protective symbols. While these additions aren't part of the traditional practice, they reflect the evolving nature of spiritual protection methods in our contemporary world. A crucial aspect of the onion protection ritual that transcends all its variation is the role of intention and belief. The physical act of cutting and placing the onion is considered secondary to the spiritual intention behind the practice. Practitioners emphasize the importance of maintaining a clear, focused mind and positive intention while performing each step of the ritual. This emphasis on intention aligns with modern understanding of the power of focused thought and its potential influence on our environment. While the scientific community might not validate the supernatural aspects of practice, the psychological benefits of performing protective rituals with genuine belief and intention are well documented. While the onion protection ritual is generally considered safe, there are several important precautions to consider. People with severe onion allergy should either modify the ritual using alternative substances or seek assistance from someone who can safely handle the onion. It's also important to ensure proper ventilation in the home, as the strong aroma of cut onions can be overwhelming in enclosed spaces. Additionally, households with pets should place the onions in locations that are inaccessible to animals, as onions can be toxic to many pets, particularly cats and dogs. Some practitioners solve this issue by creating protective barriers around the onion placement or using elevated surfaces that pets cannot reach. In modern practice, there's growing attention to the environmental impact of spiritual ritual. Many contemporary practitioners emphasize the importance of sourcing onions locally and organic, not only for their perceived stronger protective property, but also to minimize environmental environmental impact. Some have adapted the disposal phase of the ritual to include composting the used onions in designated spiritual garden, ensuring that even the conclusion of the ritual honors environmental conscience. Many practitioners recommend keeping a detailed record of each time the ritual is performed, noting specific observation, dreams, and any unusual occurrences during the 3-day period. This documentation serves multiple purposes. It helps track the effectiveness of the practice, identifies patterns or correlations with certain dates or moon phases, and provides valuable information for future iterations of the ritual. Throughout history, countless individuals have shared their experiences with the onion protection ritual. Some report immediate sensations of increased security and peace within their homes, while others describe more subtle effects become apparent over time. These personal accounts, while anecdotal, contribute to the rich tapestry of beliefs and experience surrounding this ancient practice. Practitioners often describe a distinct shift in the energy of their living spaces, reporting clearer thoughts, better sleep, and a general sense of well-being after performing the ritual. Some have noted that regular performance of the ritual seems to create a cumulative effect, strengthening the protective barrier around their homes over time. While the onion protection ritual can stand alone as a powerful practice, many people choose to integrate it with other traditional protective methods. This might include hanging protective herbs, maintaining sacred spaces within the home, or performing complementary rituals during significant celestial events or seasonal transition. The versatility of the onion ritual allows it seamlessly incorporated into various spiritual practices and beliefs, making it a valuable tool in the broader context of spiritual protection and home blessing ceremony. In many cultures, the onion protection ritual has traditionally been a community practice, with neighbors sharing tips, experience, and even the onions themselves. This communal aspect adds another layer of significance to the ritual, as shared beliefs and collective intention are often considered to enhance the protective property of spiritual practices. Some communities organize group ritual performance, particularly during times of collective challenge or stress. These shared experiences can strengthen community bonds while creating a broader protective field that extends beyond individual households. While date is traditionally considered the most powerful time for performing the onion protection ritual, many practitioners adjust the timing based on seasonal changes, lunar cycles, or personal spiritual calendars. Some choose to perform the ritual during significant transitions in their lives, such as moving to a new home, starting a new job, or during periods of personal challenge. The changing seasons can also influence the type of onions used and their placement within the home. Some traditions recommend using stronger smelling varieties during winter months, when homes are more enclosed, and milder varieties during summer, when windows are often open. The practice of placing cut onions for protection has evolved to accommodate various living situations in our modern world. Apartment dwellers, for instance, have developed creative adaptations of the ritual, focusing on balcony, windowsill, and even small indoor entryway. Those living in shared spaces have found ways to perform the ritual discreetly, sometimes using smaller onions or incorporating them into decorative arrangements that don't draw unwanted attention. For those residing in high-rise buildings, the ritual might extend to include protection for elevators and shared corridors, though this requires careful consideration of neighbors and building regulation. Some practitioners in urban environments have even adapted the ritual for office spaces and workplaces, using small potted onion plants or subtle placement of cut onions in personal work areas. While the primary ritual is traditionally performed on date, many practitioners pay close attention to lunar phases when planning and executing the protection ceremony. The waning moon phase is often considered ideal for banishing negative energy, while the new moon might be chosen for setting new protective intentions. Some practitioners align their ritual timing with specific lunar mansion or astronomical events believed to enhance the protective properties of the onion. The full moon is sometimes used for amplifying the protective effect, particularly when combined with moonlight charging of the onions before cutting. Some traditions suggest leaving the uncut onions in moonlight for 3 nights before the ritual, believing this celestial exposure enhances their spiritual property. Traditional wisdom often includes guidance about weather conditions during the ritual. Some believe that performing the ceremony during stormy weather can increase its effectiveness, as the charged atmosphere is thought to amplify spiritual energy. Others prefer clear nights, particularly when lunar influences are desired. Certain practitioners pay attention to wind direction during the ritual, adjusting the placement of onions accordingly. For instance, if the prevailing winds come from the north, additional onions might be placed along northern exposure. Some traditions also take into account seasonal weather pattern, adapting the ritual to work with rather than against natural element. Many practitioners incorporate principles of sacred geometry when placing their cut onion. The arrangement might follow specific patterns, such as the Fibonacci, or create shapes that hold spiritual significance. Some use the golden ratio to determine exact placement distance, while others arrange the onion pieces to form mandalas or other sacred symbols. This attention to geometric precision is believed to create harmony between the protective energy and the natural flow of energy within the space. Some practitioners even use dowsing or feng shui principles to identify the most effective placement points within these geometric patterns. Throughout the 3-day period when the cut onions are in place, many traditions emphasize the importance of maintaining proper energetic hygiene within the space. This might include regular smudging with sage or palo santo, playing specific frequency of sound, or maintaining certain lighting. Some practitioners recommend performing daily energy check, noting any changes in the atmosphere of the space or in the appearance of the onions themselves. These observations might lead to subtle adjustments in placement or the addition of supporting elements like crystals or herbs. In our technology-filled world, some practitioners have begun considering the interaction between electronic devices and the protective properties of cut onion. Some traditions suggest keeping the onions at least 3 feet away from large electronic devices, believing that electromagnetic fields might interfere with their protective capability. Conversely, some modern practitioners have embraced technology as part of the ritual, using apps to track lunar phases, setting timers for precise cutting moment, or even using digital tools to calculate optimal placement pattern. This integration of ancient practice with modern technology represents an evolving approach to spiritual protection. As this ancient practice continues to evolve, many practitioners emphasize the importance of preserving traditional knowledge while embracing new understanding. Some communities have begun recording elderly practitioners sharing their experiences and knowledge, creating valuable archives of various cultural approaches to the ritual. These preservation efforts often reveal fascinating regional differences in the practice, from the specific varieties of onions used to the prayers or intentions spoken during the cutting ceremony. This documentation helps ensure that future generations can access and understand the rich history and various cultural interpretations of this protective practice. Before beginning the ritual, many traditions emphasize the importance of preparing the physical space. This might include a thorough cleaning of the area where the onions will be placed, clearing clutter, and ensuring proper air circulation. Some practitioners recommend using natural cleaning products or traditional cleansing methods like vinegar and water to prepare the space. The preparation phase might also include setting up altars or sacred spaces near the planned onion placement area. These supportive elements are thought to enhance the protective properties of the ritual and create a more focused environment for the practice. Many practitioners incorporate sound elements into the ritual, believing that specific frequency can enhance the protective properties of the cut onion. This might include chanting, singing bowls, bells, or even certain types of music played during the cutting ceremony and throughout the 3-day period. Some traditions specify particular tones or frequencies that are believed to be most effective, while others emphasize the importance of intuitive sound choices that feel appropriate for the specific space and situation. The use of sound is thought to help distribute the protective energies more evenly throughout the space and to strengthen the energetic barrier created by the onions. The visual aspects of the ritual often carry significant meaning, from the color of the containers used to hold the cut onion to the decorative elements that might accompany. White containers are often preferred for their association with purity and protection, while some traditions specify the use of specific colors based on the intended type of protection needed. Some practitioners incorporate colored ribbons, cloths, or other decorative elements that align with traditional color correspondences for protection. These might include red for strength, blue for peace and tranquility, or purple for spiritual protection. Many modern practitioners have added the element of written intentions to the traditional ritual. These might include protective prayers, specific intentions for the space, or words of gratitude for the protective properties of the onion. These written intentions are sometimes placed beneath the containers holding the cut onions or incorporated into the arrangement in other ways. Some traditions suggest writing the intentions on specific types of paper, using particular inks, or incorporating symbolic languages or sigils. These written elements are seen as adding another layer of focused intention to the protective practice. In today's health-conscious world, many practitioners have begun considering the air quality implication of cut onions in enclosed spaces. While the traditional practice emphasizes the protective properties of the onion's strong aroma, modern adaptations might include considerations for individuals with respiratory sensitivity or other health concerns. Some practitioners have developed modifications that maintain the spiritual integrity of the practice while minimizing potential physical discomfort. This might include using smaller quantities of onion, incorporating air purification method, or adjusting placement to ensure adequate ventilation. An interesting modern development is the integration of traditional onion protection ritual with contemporary digital security practice. Some practitioners view the ritual as complementary to technological protection method, performing the ceremony when setting up new digital security systems or during significant online transition. This fusion of ancient and modern protection method reflects an understanding that spiritual security and digital security can work together to create comprehensive protection for modern living spaces and lifestyle. Beyond basic lunar consideration, many practitioners incorporate detailed astrological timing into their ritual planning. This might include checking planetary hours, analyzing aspects between celestial bodies, or choosing times when protective planets like Saturn or Jupiter are prominently placed in the sky. Some traditions provide specific astrological guidelines for the ritual, suggesting optimal planetary configurations for different types of protection. These might include considerations for personal astrological charts, as well as general astrological conditions. The numerical aspects of the onion protection ritual often carry deep significance beyond the traditional 7 pieces. Some practitioners incorporate their personal numerology into the ritual, adjusting the number of onions or cutting patterns based on life path numbers or significant personal numbers. Others follow complex numerical systems based on ancient mystical tradition. For example, some practitioners use the Pythagorean number system to determine the optimal number of onions for their specific space, calculating square footage and reducing it to a single digit. Others might use birth dates or house numbers to customize the ritual to their particular situation, believing that this personalization enhances the protective effect. The mental and emotional state of the person performing the ritual is considered crucial by many traditions. Some recommend a period of emotional clearing or meditation before beginning the cutting ceremony. This might include specific breathing exercises, visualization practice, or emotional release technique designed to ensure the practitioner approaches the ritual with clear and focused energy. Some traditions suggest keeping a dream journal during the 3-day period when the onions are in place, noting any significant dreams or emotional shifts that occur. This documentation is believed to provide insight into the effectiveness of the protection and any areas that might need additional attention. Many practitioners emphasize the importance of maintaining a strong connection to earth energy while performing the ritual. This might involve walking barefoot on natural ground before beginning the ceremony, working with crystal stones from the local area, or incorporating soil from significant places into the ritual setup. Some traditions recommend placing small dishes of earth beneath the onion containers, creating a direct link to the grounding energies of the planet. Others suggest using locally grown onion, believing that they carry the protective energy of the immediate environment. The effectiveness of the ritual is often thought to vary with the changing season, requiring subtle adjustments throughout the year. During spring, when natural energy is rising, some traditions suggest placing the onions higher in space. In autumn, as energy descends, lower placements might be preferred. Winter rituals might include additional warming elements like cinnamon or ginger to balance the cold energy, while summer ceremonies might incorporate cooling herbs like mint or lavender. These seasonal adjustments are believed to help maintain energetic balance while maximizing protective property. The architectural characteristics of a space can significantly impact how the ritual is performed. Practitioners often pay careful attention to features like exposed beam, alcoves, dormers, or irregular wall angles when planning onion placement. Some traditions provide specific guidelines for different architectural styles, from Victorian homes to modern minimalist space. In spaces with multiple levels, some practitioners create vertical alignment in their onion placement, believing this creates a more cohesive protective field throughout the building. Others focus on architectural stress points or areas where different building materials meet, considering these locations particularly important for protection. While onions themselves carry strong earth energy, many traditions incorporate water elements to create balance in the protective field. This might include placing small bowls of water near the onion arrangement, using moon-charged water to clean the cutting implement, or incorporating water-associated crystal like aquamarine or moonstone into the ritual setup. Some practitioners time their rituals with natural water cycles, such as tides or rain patterns, believing these natural rhythms enhance the protective properties of the onions. Others use specific types of water, such as collected rainwater or water from sacred sources, as part of their ritual preparation. The movement of air through a space is considered significant in many traditions of the onion protection ritual. Practitioners often map air current and adjust onion placement accordingly, believing that proper airflow helps distribute the protective energies throughout the space. Some traditions recommend using fans or natural ventilation to create specific air movement patterns during the 3-day period. Windows and doors are given special consideration, with some practitioners creating complex placement patterns based on how air moves through these openings. The direction of prevailing winds might also influence placement, particularly in locations with strong seasonal wind patterns. Many practitioners combine the onion protection ritual with personal protective items such as amulet, talisman, or blessed object. These items might be placed near the onion arrangement or worn during the cutting ceremony. Some traditions suggest creating a personal protection grid that connects these items with the onion placement point. The interaction between personal protective item and the onion protection field is thought to create a more comprehensive security system, combining personal and spatial protection in a synchronized way. Some practitioners regularly charge their personal protection item by placing them near the cut onion during the 3-day period. In our interconnected world, some practitioners have begun considering the effects of time zones and global location on the ritual's timing. Those performing the ritual as part of a global community might synchronize their cutting ceremony across different time zones, creating what they believe to be a worldwide network of protection. Geographic location might also influence ritual modification, with practitioners in different hemispheres adjusting the ceremony to align with their local seasonal cycle and celestial pattern. Some traditions provide specific guidelines for different latitudes and longitudes, believing these coordinates affect the flow of protective energies. Contemporary practitioners often employ various methods to document their ritual experiences and results. This might include photographs of the onions at different stages, environmental reading, temperature, humidity, electromagnetic field, or detailed notes about physical and emotional sensations during the 3-day period. Some use specialized apps or software to track multiple variables during the ritual, creating detailed data sets that can be analyzed for patterns or correlation. Others maintain digital journals or participate in online communities where experiences and observations are shared and compared. The interaction between light and shadow is considered significant in many versions of the ritual. Some practitioners pay careful attention to how natural and artificial light falls in their space, adjusting onion placement to take advantage of specific light patterns. Shadow lines and light transitions might be marked and incorporated into the placement strategy. Some traditions recommend performing different parts of the ritual during specific light conditions, cutting during twilight, for example, or rearranging during dawn. The play of light and shadow throughout the day might also influence how the protective energies are believed to flow through the space. The choice of fabric or textile material used in the ritual carries significant importance in many traditions. Some practitioners recommend specific types of natural fibers for the cloths used to clean cutting implements or cover the onion arrangement. Cotton is often preferred for its purity, while silk might be chosen for its energetic property and wool for its grounding quality. The color and pattern of these textiles might also carry meaning, with some traditions specifying particular designs or avoiding certain patterns altogether. Some practitioners weave their own ritual cloths, incorporating protective symbols or blessed threads into the fabric. Others use inherited textiles that carry family protection energy, believing this adds another layer of security to the ritual. Many practitioners incorporate elements of kitchen witchery into the onion protection ritual. This might include blessing the cutting board and knife before use, incorporating kitchen herbs into the ritual setup, or timing the cutting ceremony to align with regular cooking activity. Some traditions suggest using the kitchen hearth or stove as a power center for charging the onions before cutting. The preparation area itself might be ritual space, with specific arrangements of kitchen tools and ingredients creating a sacred geometry pattern. Some practitioners even coordinate their regular meal preparation with the ritual timing, believing this creates a harmonious flow of protective and nurturing energy. Many traditions emphasize the importance of communicating with the spirit of the onion plant itself. This might involve meditation with whole onions before cutting, offering prayers or thanks to the plant spirits, or maintaining a small onion growing space to strengthen the connection with the plant's protective properties. Some practitioners develop ongoing relationships with particular varieties of onions, noting which types seem most effective for their specific protection needs. Others work with the collective spirit of the allium family, incorporating garlic, leeks, or chives into their protective practice. The exact measurements used in the ritual often carry deep significance. Some traditions specify precise cutting angles, distance measurements between placement points, or mathematical relationships between different aspects of the ritual setup. These measurements might be based on ancient systems like the golden mean or modern sacred geometry principles. Some practitioners use traditional measuring or create their own measuring systems based on personal body measurement, believing this creates a more intimate connection with the protective energy. Others incorporate complex geometric calculation to determine optimal placement pattern. The type of metal used in cutting implements and containers can significantly impact the ritual's perceived effectiveness. While silver is traditionally preferred, some practitioners work with specific metal combinations believed to enhance particular aspects of protection. Copper might be chosen for its conductivity, iron for its grounding property, or brass for its harmonizing quality. Some traditions recommend avoiding certain metals entirely during specific phases of the ritual, while others suggest creating metal grids or patterns as part of the protective framework. The interaction between different metals and the onion's protective property might be carefully considered and documented. Many practitioners incorporate elements of their personal or family history into the ritual. This might include using family heirlooms as part of the setup, incorporating protective practice passed down through generation, or adapting the ritual to address specific historical vulnerability or strength. Some traditions suggest creating a protection genealogy, documenting how different family members have modified and adapted the ritual over time. Others recommend incorporating elements from significant life events or personal milestones into the ritual structure. The materials used in constructing the space where the ritual is performed can significantly influence placement and timing decisions. Some practitioners adjust their techniques based on whether they're working in wooden structures, brick buildings, or modern steel and glass construction. The presence of specific materials might require additional supportive elements or modified placement patterns. Some traditions provide detailed guidelines for working with different building materials, including recommendations for neutralizing potentially disruptive materials or enhancing beneficial ones. Others suggest creating material maps of space to identify optimal placement points. Some practitioners have begun incorporating elements of the onion protection ritual into their professional spaces and practice. This might include subtle adaptations for office environment, healing spaces, or public areas. Professional practitioners might develop specific modifications that maintain the ritual's integrity while remaining appropriate for various professional contexts. Some traditions offer guidelines for protecting workspaces without drawing attention to the spiritual nature of the practice. Others suggest ways to integrate the protective properties of onions into professional healing or counseling practice. Many practitioners consider the presence of pets and other animal companions when planning and executing the ritual. Some traditions suggest specific modification to protect both the animals and the ritual material, while others incorporate animal behavior as an indicator of the protection's effectiveness. Some practitioners report that animals often respond to the presence of cut onions in specific ways, and these responses might be documented as part of the ritual observation. Others develop specific practices for blessing and protecting animal companions as part of the overall protection framework. The principles of feng shui often influence how practitioners arrange their onion protection setups. This might include considering the Bagua map of space, working with specific elemental energy, or aligning placement points with auspicious directions. Some traditions provide detailed guidelines for integrating traditional feng shui principles with the onion protection ritual. The interaction between existing feng shui cures and the protective properties of the onions might be carefully monitored and adjusted. Some practitioners create complex systems that combine multiple traditional protection methods into a unified approach. Many traditions emphasize the importance of memory and focused intention throughout the ritual process. This might include maintaining specific thoughts or visualization patterns while cutting the onion, incorporating significant memories into the placement strategy, or creating memory anchors that help maintain protective awareness during the 3-day period. Some practitioners develop personal memory practice that help them maintain consistent protect intention, while others work with collective or ancestral memory as part of their protection framework. The role of memory in maintaining and strengthening protective fields might be carefully documented and analyzed. The acoustic properties of a space can significantly influence how practitioners set up their onion protection systems. Some traditions pay careful attention to how sound moves through different areas, using this information to determine optimal placement point. The natural resonance of rooms, hallways, and other spaces might be mapped and incorporated into the protection strategy. Some practitioners use specific sound frequency or tonal pattern during different phases of the ritual, believing these vibrations can enhance or activate particular protective property. Others maintain complete silence during certain stages, creating acoustic vacuums that are thought to strengthen the protective field. Temperature patterns within a space often influence how practitioners arrange their protective setups. Some traditions provide specific guidelines for working with naturally occurring hot and cold spots, while others suggest creating intentional temperature variation to enhance protective effect. The interaction between thermal patterns and onion placement might be carefully monitored and documented. Some practitioners use infrared thermometers or other temperature measuring devices to map thermal patterns before beginning the ritual. Others work with seasonal temperature variation, adjusting their practice to accommodate changing thermal conditions throughout the year. Many practitioners incorporate various sacred arts into their onion protection practice. This might include creating protective mandalas around onion placement points, integrating sacred calligraphy into ritual documentation, or incorporating traditional artistic elements from specific cultural traditions. Some practitioners develop their own artistic expression specifically for use in the ritual. The creative process itself might be considered part of the protective practice, with some traditions suggesting that the act of creating sacred art enhances the overall effectiveness of the protection. Others maintain ongoing artistic practices that complement and support their protective work. Some traditions pay particular attention to what lies beneath the space where the ritual is performed. This might include natural features like water sources or mineral deposits, or human-made structures like tunnels or utilities. These underground elements might influence placement decisions or require specific modification to the basic ritual structure. Some practitioners use dowsing or other earth-sensing techniques to map underground features before beginning their protection work. Others incorporate knowledge of geological patterns or ley lines into their placement strategy. Beyond basic lunar consideration, many practitioners work with broader celestial patterns when planning and executing their protection ritual. This might include aligning placement points with specific star patterns, timing ritual phases to coincide with particular planetary configuration, or incorporating astronomical measurements into their protection geometry. Some traditions provide detailed guidelines for working with different celestial influence, while others encourage practitioners to develop their own systems based on personal observation experience. The relationship between celestial patterns and protection effectiveness might be tracked over multiple ritual cycles. While onions are the central focus, many traditions incorporate other plant allies into their protection practice. This might include specific herbs or flowers placed strategically around onion points, trees or shrubs that naturally occur in the protection space, or plants known for their protective properties in various traditions. Some practitioners maintain ongoing relationships with particular plant allies, incorporating them regularly into their protection work. Others might choose different plant combinations based on seasonal availability or specific protection. Many traditions emphasize the importance of natural and artificial time cycle in protection work. This might include coordinating ritual phases with natural circadian rhythms, aligning protection patterns with local timekeeping, or developing specific timing sequence for different aspects of the ritual. Some practitioners create complex timing maps that help them coordinate multiple protection elements. Others work with simple natural cycles, allowing their protection practice to flow with basic daily and seasonal rhythms. Group energy and collective consciousness often play significant roles in protection practice. Some traditions suggest that protection rituals become more effective when multiple people maintain awareness of them, while others emphasize the importance of keeping practice private and personal. Some practitioners work with specific group mind techniques, incorporating collective intention into their protection strategy. Others might coordinate their practices with larger community protection efforts, creating interconnected fields of protective energy. In modern environments, many practitioners must consider how various technologies might affect their protection work. This might include mapping electromagnetic field, identifying Wi-Fi signal and other wireless communication, or understanding how different electronic devices might interact with protection energy. Some traditions provide specific guidelines for working in technology-rich environments, while others suggest ways to minimize technological interference. The interaction between protective energies and various technology might be carefully monitored and documented. Individual energy pattern and personal biofield often influence how practitioners approach their protection work. Some traditions emphasize the importance of understanding and working with personal energy patterns, while others provide techniques for neutralizing individual influences that might affect the ritual's effectiveness. Some practitioners develop detailed maps of their own energy pattern, using this information to enhance their protection practice. Others might work with energy practitioners or healers to optimize their personal fields for protection work. Local weather patterns and atmospheric conditions often influence how practitioners set up and maintain their protection. This might include adjusting practices based on barometric pressure, humidity levels, or approaching storm systems. Some traditions provide specific modifications for different weather conditions. Some practitioners maintain detailed weather logs alongside their protection documentation, looking for correlations between atmospheric condition and protection effectiveness. Others might develop weather-specific variations of basic protection practice. Many practitioners develop sophisticated systems for recognizing and working with visual patterns in their protection spaces. This might include identifying natural geometry in architectural features, understanding how light and shadow create temporary patterns, or working with existing decorative elements. Some traditions emphasize the importance of training the eye to recognize protective patterns, while others provide specific visual exercises to enhance pattern recognition ability. The relationship between visual pattern protection effective might be carefully documented. Natural and artificial magnetic fields often influence how practitioners arrange their protective setups. Some traditions incorporate compass readings into their placement decision, while others work with more sophisticated magnetic sensing equipment. Understanding the interaction between magnetic fields and protective energy has become increasingly important in modern practice. Some practitioners create detailed magnetic maps of their space, noting variations and anomalies that might affect protection patterns. Others work specifically with electromagnetic fields, developing techniques for either enhancing or neutralizing their effects on the protective properties of the onion. The precise timing of different ritual elements often requires sophisticated synchronization techniques. Some practitioners use multiple timekeeping systems simultaneously, coordinating astronomical, biological, and mechanical time measurement. Others develop personal timing systems based on observed patterns in their protection work. Some traditions emphasize the importance of maintaining consistent time relationships between different ritual elements, while others work with deliberately varied timing patterns. The relationship between timing precision and protection effectiveness might be carefully documented and analyzed. Group living situations and social interaction can significantly affect how practitioners approach their protection work. Some traditions provide specific guidelines for working in shared spaces, while others emphasize the importance of maintaining clear energetic boundaries between different social zones. Some practitioners develop complex systems for managing social energy patterns, incorporating these into their protection strategy. Others might focus on creating protected spaces within larger social environments, using specific techniques to maintain energetic integrity. The use of language during protection ritual often carries special significance. Some traditions specify particular words or phrases that should be spoken at certain points in the ritual, while others maintain complete silence. The vibration of spoken words might be considered an important component of the protection mechanism. Some practitioners develop personal glossaries of protection-related terms, while others work with traditional sacred languages. The relationship between speech patterns and protection effectiveness might be carefully monitored and documented. Many practitioners incorporate crystal and other minerals into their protection setups. This might involve placing specific stones near onion points, creating crystal grids that complement protection patterns, or using crystalline substances to enhance particular aspects of the protection field. Some traditions provide detailed guidelines for working with different crystal combinations, while others encourage practitioners to develop their own mineral relationship. The interaction between crystalline energy and onion protection properties might be carefully studied and documented. Color relationships often play crucial roles in protection work. Some practitioners pay careful attention to the natural colors present in their spaces, while others deliberately introduce specific color combinations to enhance protection effect. The interaction between color frequencies and protective energies might be carefully considered. Some traditions provide detailed color correspondence systems, while others encourage practitioners to develop their own color relationships. The impact of different color combinations on protection effectiveness might be tracked over multiple ritual cycles. Some practitioners consider gravitational variations when planning their protection work. This might include attention to natural gravitational anomaly, the effects of building height on protection pattern, or the impact of massive objects on local gravitation. Some traditions provide specific guidelines for working with gravitational influence, while others incorporate gravitational awareness into their general protection strategy. The relationship between gravitational pattern and protection effect might be carefully documented. Proximity to natural and artificial water sources often influences how practitioners arrange their protection. This might include consideration of underground water movement, humidity pattern, or the presence of large bodies of water. Some traditions provide specific modification for different water-related situations. Some practitioners maintain detailed records of water-related factors, looking for correlations with protection effectiveness. Others might develop specific techniques for working with or around different types of water influence. Many practitioners work with fractal patterns in their protection setups. This might involve identifying natural fractal relationships in their spaces, creating intentional fractal arrangement, or working with mathematical fractal principles in their protection geometry. Some traditions emphasize the importance of understanding fractal relations, while others provide practical techniques for working with fractal patterns. The relationship between fractal arrangements and protection effectiveness might be carefully studied. Dream experiences and visionary states often provide important information for protection work. Some practitioners maintain detailed dream journals during their protection cycles, while others actively work with dream states to enhance their protection strategy. Some traditions provide specific techniques for working with protection-related dreams, while others encourage practitioners to develop their own dream relation. The connection between dream experience and protection effectiveness might be carefully documented. Many practitioners consider broader ecological relationships in their protection work. This might include attention to local wildlife pattern, plant cycle, or environmental changes. Some traditions provide specific guidelines for working with different ecological conditions. Some practitioners maintain detailed records of ecological factors, while others develop protection strategies that actively support local ecosystems. The relationship between ecological health and protection effectiveness might be carefully monitored. Local history and past events often influence how practitioners approach their protection work. This might include consideration of historical energy patterns, past uses of the space, or significant events that have occurred in the area. Some traditions emphasize the importance of understanding historical influence, while others provide techniques for working with or clearing historical energy. The relationship between historical patterns and protection effectiveness might be carefully documented. The practice of using cut onions for protection represents a complex interweaving of numerous elements, tradition, and consideration, from the precise timing of the cutting ceremony on date to the careful consideration of placement pattern. Each aspect contributes to the overall effectiveness of this ancient protective practice. Modern practitioners continue to develop and refine these techniques, incorporating new understanding while maintaining respect for traditional wisdom. The balance between innovation and preservation remains a central theme in contemporary practice as practitioners work to adapt these ancient methods to modern environment and need. As our understanding of energy, consciousness, and protection continues to evolve, the practice of using cut onions for spiritual protection will likely continue to develop. New technologies may offer additional insights into the mechanisms behind these traditional practices, while changing social and environmental conditions may require further adaptation. However, the core principles remain constant: the importance of intention, the power of natural materials, and the need for protection in an increasingly complex world. Whether practiced in traditional forms or modern adaptation, the use of cut onions for protection continues to offer a tangible connection to ancient wisdom and practical spiritual protection. As practitioners continue to explore and document their experience, our collective understanding of these protection techniques grows richer and more nuanced. Each new generation brings fresh insights while building upon the foundation laid by countless practitioners before them. The enduring nature of this practice speaks to its effectiveness and adaptability. From ancient Egyptian temples to modern urban apartments, the humble onion continues to serve as a powerful tool for those seeking to create and maintain protected spaces. Through careful observation, dedicated practice, and thoughtful innovation, the tradition of onion protection continues to evolve while remaining true to its essential purpose, providing practical, accessible spiritual protection for spaces and their inhabitants. As we move forward, this ancient practice continues to demonstrate its relevance and effectiveness in our contemporary world. Whether practiced alone or as part of a broader protection strategy, the ritual of placing cut onions by the door on date remains a powerful reminder of the enduring connection between natural materials, spiritual practice, and human need. In this way, it stands as a testament to the timeless wisdom of traditional protection methods and their continuing relevance in our modern world.